Okay, what I'm going to do here is take an art sample that someone sent in and compare it with the reference picture and try to help you out and see if there's some things you could change on it if you wanted to. This reference picture is by an artist named Igor Lukyanov. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And the art was done by a young artist who's only 10 years old. This is amazing. I love the outline of the fur around here, the expression of the eyes. He got the catch light in there. So I'm going to show you, as if we were in an art class, what I might suggest to get it looking a little bit more like the reference picture. Okay, like I said, the fur around here is just wonderful. If you look right here, this is the sort of the center of his head. And that brings us to the center of his nose. So looking at that, that's pretty well lined up. Might want to move the nose over just a little bit to sort of line it up a little better. And again, this is the top of this colored part he did right here. So we're going to move this over just a little bit. So when you're drawing, if you can make a guideline for yourself, especially drawing people or animals that face forward, you can do that and kind of line it up. The eyes, see, are lined up across here. These are perfect. If you look at the distance between the ear and where the end of the eye comes in, see if the eye comes in right about here, it's not very far. So this is much farther. So what this artist could do is move the eyes up just a little bit up here. Okay, then with the nose, to make sure the nose is the right distance away from the eyes, we can measure with the pencil. So if I am measuring the end of my pencil from the inside of one eye to the inside of another eye, it comes to about where my fingers are. And then if I start at that line, sort of where my eyes are, I notice that's about halfway down the nose. So I measure the distance between the eyes, and then I'm going to go about halfway down the nose. So that looks right. Very good. Okay, the eyes themselves they could be just a little rounder, like so. The line here kind of comes up in a curve and then straight across. So up in a curve and straight across. Maybe a little bigger, a little wider. This is a wide-eyed little fox. The pupils seem to come down a little further. So he could have brought the pupils down a little bit more. And the catch light, this one actually has several catch lights. The catch light is the light shining off the pupil. So you could make that a little bit bigger. Looking at his little muzzle here, you have this shape here, which looks great. And then this kind of goes out like this and is close in. And that looks great. You got that very well proportioned. The chin could be a little bit smaller. He's got a little chin going right there. And of course he's got all those whiskers coming out. And the whiskers up here. This eye part where he got it dark, that is fantastic. The thing to remember about irises, the colored part of the eye, even on animals, they're like circles. So you could round this off just a little more, kind of round that off, and then add a little bit of dark in there. You got that there. Just keep it very round because these animals have, the colored part is very round. So you and color that in too, like you did on the other side. And then he's got some fur going off there. Okay, with the head, we mentioned maybe bringing the eyes up a little bit. The ears look great. Now this little fox has flattened ears. Must be worried about something. So you maybe make them a little more, well, this one looks good. Make that one a little flatter. And then with the fur, this one, he's got a lot of fur going, and that is fine. This one doesn't have quite as much. It's more implied, just kind of showing some fur. But look how this artist did it. He made the fur going out kind of like the rays of a sun from around the face. And that is just how you do it on furry animals that are facing forward. The fur is going to go just like that. The nose, you can color in the nose, and see the nose also has a highlight there. So you could color in the nose. And I'm using, this is a 2B pencil. It goes pretty dark. If I wanted to go darker, I could use a 3 or 4B or even a 6B. So just color in the nose there. The mouth is very dark down here, so you can darken that up. Give it a little more detail there. And again, this artist made it look a little bit furry, made it a little jagged to make it look a little furry. It's got these little spots by his whiskers. Okay, now the artist here did it in color. And let's say we didn't want to do it in color, but we wanted to keep it in pencil. What I would probably do, well, he does have some fur lines here. Again, they go outward. So you could add some fur lines here. And then to do this in pencil where it is in color, I would probably take a dark pencil. Again, this is my 4B, but I actually have an 8B here. I'm going to use that because that's even darker. And I'm going to, on my scrap paper, I'm going to color it on there, pick some up on my finger, and I can add some color like that. It's not really color because we're doing it all grayscale, but you can add it like that and then leave the white parts white. If I took off too much, I can come back in. I'm going to get a little more of this and do the other side, and that gives it a little more contrast and a little more interest. And then this is coming up. As this comes up, you know, you might not need these lines at all. They don't need to be quite so pronounced, or you can make them look just sort of furry there, coming up like that. And then there are darker areas, so I could take the pencil and just kind of rub it lightly. This is my 8B, so it's really dark. And if I just kind of color it lightly like that, and I can rub it in and give it some darker areas. And if I do it, when I draw it, if I do it like fur, and you still see the pencil lines, it will look like fur. Let's make this eye a little bigger. This one a little bigger. And that will give you the different contrast even though you're just using pencil. So it doesn't smudge it all the way this way. You do still see the lines, but I'm making these lines go the same direction as the fur. And so that's okay. If I don't want lines, I just need to do it very softly in sort of a circular motion like this so that you don't have those lines. And I can still shade it in like that. But I don't mind the lines because we're making him a furry fox. Now as far as the width of his face, it looks like it maybe should be a little bit wider down this way. Just the shape of his face, he's got kind of a wide head. And just to be sure, kind of more of a head like that, we can measure with our pencil again. Oh, let's see what to measure. Just find any kind of reference point. If I go from the eyes to the top of the head, let's say we brought the top of his head down a little. Let's say we brought his head down like that. And you see that's from the nose to the side of the head. So from the eyes, where the eyes are, to the top of the head is about the same as the middle of the nose to the side of the head. So if I brought the top of my head down a little bit here, let's say, get the darker pencil, you can see it a little better. Let's say we brought the top of the head down. So from the eyes to the top, from the nose to the side. So really the side would come out right about there and be a little bit rounder, like that. And so those are, I don't think I would even suggest that much to someone so young because this really was a great drawing. But if there were things I was going to add or change to make it look more like this one, although it doesn't have to look exactly the same, but if your practicing drawing, using reference pictures or reference items from life, it just helps you fine-tune those skills of seeing how shapes are on there, seeing how lines connect, and things like that. Then by doing that and kind of fixing it up so it looks more like this one, it helps your brain see things more in that exact way. So that's just some things you could do to get it to look more like this one. But again, if it doesn't need to. It is your piece of art, and I do try to stress that as well. It's your piece of art, and it can look however you want. But if your goal is to get it to look just like the reference, those are some things I would do.